were not allowed to resist, because God had gave the wicked dominion to subdue. So your resistance wasn't gonna do you no good no way. So that's where Jesus told the people, in the name of Allah, the beneficent, the most merciful, the truthful, and the most just. I greet you all who are hungry and thirsty for the true understanding of Allah's word, the Holy Scriptures, which are for instruction in righteousness. I greet you all who are hungry and thirsty for that knowledge, the true understanding of it. I greet you with the greeting words of peace. May Allah's Salam Alaikum. I was just talking about, I was just sharing with some while we was waiting to get live on YouTube that I'm not hard to get along with, but I just can't let people just bully me. I just ain't never been able to let somebody just attack me and I didn't at least attempt to defend myself. And I use the term that's a slippery slope, because once you allow people to attack you and you don't defend yourself, then you set your own self up that every time people looking for somebody to attack, they find you. Do you understand? That's what lions do. Lions, when they're hungry, they don't go looking for no, you don't see no lion going looking for no Bengal tiger or nothing like that. He go look for something that can't fight back. He looking for a meal. He ain't looking for a fight. So you got people that do you like that. Every time they get up on the wrong side of the bed, they find you to take it out on you. But if you fight back, he may go looking for somebody to take it out on, but he gonna remember, if you got any good licks in, he gonna remember that he better go find somebody else. Do you understand? You don't have to be the winner. You just have to show people you will fight. And I'm gonna tell you something. Once the fight starts, I'm through talking. Ain't no more talking then. No, talking stop when the fight starts. No, it ain't about trying to get you to leave me alone or nothing. No, it's about trying to fix it where you don't put your hands on nobody else. But anyway, and whatever happened to you when you start something with somebody, it's your fault. Because it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't started something. That's why I tell my followers, don't be out there arguing with nobody. Don't be going back and forth with nobody. Just leave them standing there talking. If they let you walk off. If you at your place or whatever, you go on inside and leave them standing there. But woe to them if they follow you up and invade your space. And then he'll find out you wasn't walking away because you was scared of him. You was walking away because that's what you was instructed to do, to keep the peace. So, and know this, if you attack one of us, you better be ready to get us all. I learned that from the police. You mess with one of them, all of them come after you. And they should. If they enforcing law and you out there breaking it, then the best thing you can do when you get caught is suffer the consequences, because you knew they was coming. So, anyway, I was thinking over lots of things on what I wanted to teach on this evening. And I'm going to start at home here. For the president, he was talking about some things that I think people need to hear. So I'm gonna play this.
Every single Republican, House and Senate, every single one, every Republican in the House, every Republican in the Senate, they voted against it. Everyone. Look, hear this, America. Every single Republican voted against lowering prescription drug costs. Everyone. Everyone. Against lowering healthcare costs. Everyone. Against tackling the climate crisis. Everyone. Against lower energy costs. Against creating good paying jobs. Against a fair tax system. Every single one. Now every single American needs to return the favor and vote them out of office. Look, and $50 billion.
I think I'll play that part again. You know, when you look at what they're doing, as I told you, they want you to tear up your own country. What makes people angry? What will make people angry enough to tear up the country? You have to make them think that the government has become dysfunctional. You have to make them think that the government ain't right. Do you understand? Well, how do you do that? You do it with MAGA. Mayhem, anarchy, godlessness, and autocratic aspirations. Do you understand? MAGA. Mayhem, anarchy, godlessness, and autocracy. That's what they want you to do. So they created a situation on the 6th. You remember that man that was supposed to be president told them to be there on the 6th? It will be wild. There's your, what they call it in the law, the smoking gun. His words, it will be wild. Was it wild? See, he wanted to be escorted up there. He was marching it. He was going to have those Secret Service agents who was there to protect his life. He was going to sacrifice them. That's what the snipers was waiting on. Then he was going to get out like he was brave and blame it all on Antifa and say, they even shot my Secret Service agents and people who was trying to protect me. But I was not going to cower in front of these people. Do you understand? He was mad at the Secret Service for protecting him and not taking him down there. Which tells me that those agents wasn't in on what the game was. Do you understand? Remember, Giuliani said he's going to look powerful. That's what he said about Donald Trump to that young lady, Miss Hutchison. Was that her name? Miss Hutchison? Yeah. And she was trying to figure out what Giuliani meant by that. But when you put all of the pieces together, after that treasonous general, Michael Flynn, told him to declare martial law, then everything stops. Huh? Well, how do I do that? Create mayhem, anarchy, and bring a bunch of godless people up there. You got to get godless people, because you ain't godless people is the only people who will push a lie and keep pushing it regardless. Do you understand? So you got to get that godless people who believe in autocracy, who dictatorships. You remember he fell in love with the dictator? And that's what he said. I didn't say it. He said it. Well, now it seems that other people are waking up in this country to what's really going on, what Trump was really up to. Him and all of his helpers. Do you understand that Federalist Society, those people are treasonous traitors. They don't care nothing about the federal government or the Constitution. You see what one of their hand-picked judges did there in Florida? Tried to tell the Justice Department they couldn't take the United States papers away from Donald Trump. You never heard of no such thing that a president leaves office and takes government documents with him. An example needs to be made out of these people. A lasting example. Now, I'm going to start that from the beginning because I cut the president off there.
Every single Republican, House and Senate, every single one, every Republican in the House, every Republican in the Senate, they voted against it. Every one. Look, hear this, America. Every single Republican voted against lowering prescription drug costs. Every one. Every one. Against lowering healthcare costs. Every one. Against tackling the climate crisis. Every one. Against lower energy costs. Against creating good-paying jobs. Against a fair tax system. Every single one.
Now let's stop there for a minute. President Biden is he's charging these people, he's making allegations that every Republican voted against these things. Come in now and name the one who didn't vote against it. See, we had a man in the office of president that every time he opened his mouth, he was lying. Now we got a truth teller in there. Did he lie on them people? If he was lying, how come ain't nobody? I mean, I know it's a lot of people listening to me that don't like me particularly. They hoping I back somebody who lied so they can say, see, you backing a liar. Huh? Name the Republican that did vote yes on any of the things that President Biden said. Now, that ain't the bad part of it. What? Just keep listening.
Now every single American needs to return the favor and vote them out of office. Look, and $50 billion. You know how much this year, not counting Medicaid changes? $1,700 billion. So I don't want to hear from Republicans about fiscal responsibility. I don't want to hear it. I mean it. I don't want to get going here. Republican, not a single one, House or Senate, voted for that legislation. We also passed once-in-a-generation investment in our nation's roads, highways, bridges, railroads, ports, airports, water system, high-speed internet. We got a little help from Republicans, but not a lot, but enough to get it passed. But the truth is, there are a lot more Republicans taking credit for that bill than we actually voted for it. I see them out there, and now we're going to build this new bridge here. We're all for it. And by the way, this new road, and we're going to have an internet that's going to be all the way. I love them, man. They ain't got no shame. They don't have any shame.
First of all, good on Biden for calling these Republicans out. Republicans know that because they exist in a closed-loop ecosystem, they can tell whatever lies or distortions they want without having to worry about being called out. And so even though nearly all of them voted against the infrastructure package, they're still more than happy to take credit for its passage. For example, how Republican Congressman Tony Gonzalez praised an ecosystem restoration plan thanks to infrastructure funding, saying, quote, "For many folks in the area, this project revives the area's storied past and deep roots." That was, of course, after he voted against that very measure, saying that the bill, quote, "will only lead to more spending for the Democrats and this flailing administration, and that the Democrats' path to trillions more in spending will only make matters worse and hold our country back." On his hypocrisy, his own office said, quote, "While Congressman Gonzalez did not vote for this initial package due to the $1 trillion price tag associated with it, if the money is going to be spent, he is going to advocate that it goes to his district." Right, of course, that while he tried his hardest to block the funding, he's of course going to advocate that it be spent in his district, where he'll take credit for it while railing against the very people who actually made that funding a reality.
And by the way, President Biden initiated, him and his administration initiated a thing called the American Rescue Plan. How many of y'all that's out here running him down turned that check down that came to you? Matter of fact, those checks that came to you to help you get through this pandemic and the hardship that it caused you. You know, the Holy Quran tells me to cast into hell every ungrateful, rebellious one. Was that a good thing? Was the American Rescue Plan a good idea? Did it help a lot of people? Then why you don't give President Biden credit for that? You are ungrateful. And regardless of all of the good that he has done since he's been in office, undoing a lot of the bad that was brought on this country by your man, Donald Trump. You're so rebellious and ungrateful that you ignore all of the good. You take it, you accept it, but you don't acknowledge that President Biden is just a decent, caring man, patriotic man, which is what this country needed after a treasonous despiser of God wormed his way into the White House with the help of so many ungrateful, hateful people. Huh? So I tell you what, I'm waiting on you to tell me. I mean, they talked about infrastructure when Donald Trump was in office. They didn't do nothing on it, but they talked about it. Huh? Even the news people made fun of that. He said every week it was infrastructure week. But nothing ever got done but tax breaks. And what they didn't really call it what it really was. It was robbery of the treasury of the United States. The government does not have any revenue of its own. Its revenue comes from taxes. Unless you don't know something I don't. So when they gave a tax cut, wasn't it strange that, they the first one to holler, how you going to pay for it? How you going to pay for it? This is what them Republicans in name only did. They gave a $2 trillion tax break and didn't worry about how they was going to replace that $2 trillion that them taxes was supporting in the government. That's why now their answer to paying for it is defund the IRS, defund the Justice Department, defund anybody who can see our crookedness and stop it. Do you understand? But they wasn't going to say that. They just give a tax cut and don't pay for it. Then if it ain't paid for, some funds going to have to come from someplace else to keep something else. You know what happens when you get a decrease in the amount of money you got coming in, you got to decrease what you got going out. Is that right? And then you say, well, we can't afford that no more. You can't afford a Justice Department no more. You can't afford an IRS no more to watch people like Donald Trump skip paying taxes. Do you not see what they're doing? Is that okay with you? How in the world are you going to defend the Constitution if you get rid of everybody that could have defended it? It's just like people who say that they believe in the Constitution and that, they'll throw it out there like they respect the Constitution. But how in the world do you violate the Constitution? You condone judges like that judge that's up there trying to turn over sensitive intelligence information to Donald Trump and to his lawyers and these people, some special counsel or special what they call it. But anyway, since when do a special master look at intelligence briefings? That he's not even cleared. You got to get somebody who's clear for that. The Justice Department determines what information can be looked upon and what can't. The intelligence community does that. That ain't got nothing to do with no judge out there that don't even have a clearance herself. And since she don't have a clearance, how can she clear anything? I don't have to be a lawyer to know that don't work. That's as bad as getting a jury and a judge that have nothing to do with medicine call themselves judging whether a doctor did the right thing or not. Talking about they're going to take his license or they're going to do this. How you going to take his license and you don't know whether he committed malpractice? You got some experts, other doctors who telling you that? The only ones that she could call in there have already told her that They can't let them documents out into the public. Huh? They didn't have no business out there in the first place. And acting like you don't know what Donald Trump was doing with them. You know exactly what he was doing with them. Selling them to the highest bidder. Or to anybody who would help him to overthrow your government. What other reason would he have for taking that stuff out there? And putting it in an unsecure area. If not, to tell his friends, go in there and look through there and see if anything you can find in there that can help you. I didn't hear you. I notice ain't none of you telling me that I'm wrong. You can't think up a lie that will justify him stealing them documents and taking them out there with him. And that's exactly what he did. He stole them. How you know he stole them? What make you know he stole them, son of man? When the government told him that he took the wrong documents, he didn't bring them back. When the archive department told him that you can't take them, those belong to the government. Look, tell me something. Dictators pay their own salaries, don't they? I didn't hear you. A dictator, he take what he wants. Is that right? But a president does not. He gets a check. Means he works for the American people. And since he's an employee of the American people, whatever happens in the office of president stays in the office of president after he ain't president no more. Do you understand? He don't nothing he have belong to him while he's in that office. It belongs to the United States. And all of you know that. It ain't nobody sitting here listening that don't know that. Then why are you upholding him for trying to steal sensitive intelligence material and take it out there in an unsecure area? What purpose would he have for doing that? Tell me, what purpose would he have for doing that? He did everything he was doing because you kept on saying he just don't know no better. He just don't know no better. You think Donald Trump didn't know no better when he said Russia, if you're listening? I think you would be greatly rewarded by our press if you found them documents of Hillary Clinton's, if you published them. I paraphrased it, but that's basically what he said. He knew he wasn't supposed to do that. Donald Trump been in this country and he's in his 70s. I don't even keep up with politics, and I knew that. He been donating to people's campaigns and politics for the longest. He know how it goes. But he do it right in front of you because he has already said in himself, you're stupid. He even told you to your face that you're stupid, and you just didn't read between the lines. He said, I could go out there and shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue, and I wouldn't lose no support from these fools. He just didn't say from these fools. He said I wouldn't lose no support. But what comes with that? I mean, these people are so stupid that I could go out there and murder somebody on Fifth Avenue. They don't deserve a country. That's what he's thinking. See, he got to do something to justify what he's doing that's wrong. He got to justify it in his mind. So how he justified it was he said, see, I could go out here and murder somebody, and these dumbbells, these rednecks, they could care less. Now, why should they be able to keep this country when they that crazy? Take it from them. I didn't hear you. And he almost took it. And the jury's still out. I didn't hear you. You see, many people, you have never met a man like me. That's why you think I'm emotional. The scripture told you that the Lord himself shall descend from heaven, not with a whisper, but with a shout. And with the voice of the archangel. And the dead in Christ shall rise first. You notice, they say, the king is dead. Long live the king. Why they put it like that? Because kings don't die, they pass. That's what they're telling you. They pass that title from one to another. They ain't never without a king. Do you understand? Speak not of my servants as dead, for they are alive, and you perceive not. Can't you see that the one prophet's book always matches and blends in with the last one? And then it blends in with the next one and blends in with the next one. It just pass on. So, the Lord himself is here now. You know that I must be somebody, because everybody done shut their mouth at me. Except a fool every now and then that manifests himself to be a fool. You got nothing to correct me on. You got nothing to base an argument with me on. So why even stop me to say anything? It's because you just want to be seen and heard. You wants to be the class clown. And from now on, being the class clown gonna wind you up in hell. And I'm gonna see to it, because that's where I'm gonna throw you. Allah told me to cast you into hell for being ungrateful and rebellious. So I'm gonna let this young man here finish talking. BrianTylerCohen.com, because even though he chopped it up in different places, he got the point across. So let's listen to him finish this up here.
Republican Steve Scalise, whose district benefited with flood protection projects despite Scalise also voting against the legislation. His office said, quote, what he did not support is tying necessary infrastructure needs to unrelated Green New Deal policies Democrats put in their $1.2 trillion bill. Ah yes, the Green New Deal, which is quite literally non-existent. Or Republican Clay Higgins, whose district got funding for waterways despite his no vote. Higgins said, quote, while I oppose this infrastructure bill in its totality based on unwavering principle, there are certainly elements within the bill that my office fully support. Ah yes, those unwavering principles, clearly at play here where the congressman is taking credit for the very thing he tried to prevent from happening. You'd be hard-pressed to find principles.
See, he's showing you that they are subtly acting like they they putting it in wording that makes it act like they supported the bills, that they voted for these things, but they voted against these things. And now trying to take credit for the what the patriotic ones in Congress that call themselves Democrats. I like to put it like that, is because Democrat is just the name of a particular group, but their real name is patriots, people who care about their country, and they are up there serving their country. How do you serve people? You give them the things that their tax money can afford, that they need. Do you understand? But these crooks up there that never really cared about anyone. You look at the history of a lot of these people in Congress. Who have they actually ever cared about other than their own selfish selves? You know why people that was in the Nation of Islam, when the messenger was here, none of them ever challenged me? You know why they don't challenge me? Because everyone who knows me knows that I always cared about my brothers and sisters. I wasn't no captain or no lieutenant or nothing. I was just a brother. And it's sad that I have to say it like that. Because when you're just a brother, people who believe in class and caste and whatnot, they look down on you. You've heard people come in here and ask me, well, what was your rank? What was you in the nation? It wasn't enough that I was there helping the messenger. I needed to have some kind of rank in order to mean something to them. Do you understand? And that's the way this world works. People who gain some kind of authority over other people, they look down on the people that they have authority over. They treat you not like they are your brothers and sisters. They treat you like you are their property. They treat you like you are their slaves. Do you understand? Them is the kind of people that followed Yaqub. We still got them kind of people among us. White people ain't the only one who wanted slaves. They came from black people who wanted slaves. You better go and read Message to the Black Man again. On the Making of the Devil. What kind of people followed Yaqub over there? People that he had promised that if they followed him, they'd come back and have the other people working for them and they'd have authority over them people. Them the kind of people that followed Yaqub. Bunch of lazy, good-for-nothing, shiftless jockeys. That's the truth, brother. So I'm here with the truth. So I want you to listen to this young man some more. He tells it. He gonna tell you the same thing I've been telling you.
Or unwavering. Or Republican Ashley Hinson, who tweeted, "We secured $829 million in federal funding to upgrade locks and dams along the upper Mississippi River. This is game-changing for Iowa's agriculture industry and our Mississippi River communities." Only she's using that "we" pretty generously, considering she voted against the legislation. Or when Republican Senator Pat Toomey took to Twitter to lament a bridge collapse in Pittsburgh, writing, "My staff has been in contact with local emergency personnel regarding the Forbes Avenue bridge collapse in Pittsburgh. We will continue closely monitoring the situation, wishing a speedy recovery to those who are injured." Although, I'd imagine the victims would have been more appreciative of his vote for infrastructure funding than his wishes for a speedy recovery. Unfortunately, the wishes were all that they got from him. Or Republican Nancy Mace, who tweeted, "Before I ever joined the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, I've been a tireless advocate for the lower country's needs, and we need to win a majority in November to improve our failing infrastructure and to make the best investments in our future," which is certainly a lot of words for someone who literally voted against the infrastructure bill to quite literally make those infrastructure investments possible. And just to be clear, the infrastructure bill wasn't the first, nor will it be the last, where Republicans will take credit for something that they voted against. Here's Madison Cawthorn touting the American Rescue Plan, a bill that he voted against. Here's Marsha Blackburn whining about inflation despite voting against every bill presented to cut costs so that Americans could get some relief. Here's Jim Jordan complaining about gas prices and baby formula despite voting against bills preventing price gouging at the pumps and funding for the baby formula shortage. Here's Blackburn again asking for prayers for Ukrainians who are contending with Putin's crimes against humanity right after voting against sending military aid to Ukraine. Here's Thomas Massey wailing that Biden's more concerned with Ukraine than the baby formula shortage. Massey literally voted against funding for baby formula. Time and time again, Republicans are proving that they know these are good policies, which is ostensibly why they're trying to take credit for them, while simultaneously trying to prevent them from happening in the first place because they would rather hurt Americans if that meant they could deprive Democrats of a perceived win. I mean, think about that for a second. These Democratic policies are so popular that Republicans are falling over themselves to tout those accomplishments themselves, but they also did everything they could to ensure that they never came to pass. So every time a Republican touted funding for waterways or bridges or roads or ecosystem restoration or flood prevention, those Republicans wanted those issues to persist. And only after Democrats secured funding, with help from only a few Republicans, did the rest of the party show up at the receiving line to accept the praise and congratulations. If these people were capable of shame, they'd have a hard time showing their faces in public. Ultimately, it comes down to this. Republicans don't want government to work, and so they try on a daily basis to break it. They create insurmountable hurdles and manufactured crises, like, for example, how they required the USPS to create a $72 billion fund to pay for the cost of its post-retirement health care costs 75 years into the future, a burden that applies to no other federal agency or even private corporation. But they wanted to create an illusion of a failing agency so that they could ultimately privatize it. The same...
Now, in what kind of system is everything privatized? In an autocracy. You got a few wealthy people in charge of the wealth of a nation. Do you understand? And all of them is a bunch of kingfish that just sitting up, divvying out whatever they want to whoever will bow the lowest to them. Do you understand? You see, the United States is a unique government, the government of this country. It is designed to check itself. No state has absolute power. That's why they established a federal government. That's why the United States Constitution is the basic constitution of the whole country, even though states have their own constitution. But when their own constitution conflicts with the United States Constitution, the United States Constitution wins. Do you understand? It's a check on power. When you're dealing with wicked people, and that's all you got to put in power is wicked people, since the Bible says all unsinned and fallen short of the glory of God. God had to help them set up something to grant them the ability to rule and have a degree of peace. Do you understand? So it's a system of checks and balances. It's just like you notice, your hot water heater has a check valve on it. Why? Because if the thermostat stops working and just keeps heating that water, now you got a bomb sitting up in your house. Do you understand? So the check valve is called a pop-off valve. And it's a check on the hot water heater and the thermostat to make sure that it don't blow up. You understand? So it is likewise, you have 3 separate branches in the United States government, and then you have branches in the state government, that no one branch has autonomy. Do you understand? And that's the way you have to have it in order to keep everybody honest. What do men with power want? What do all men with power want? More power, right? So they're always trying to figure out a way to usurp power unto themselves. Huh? That's what corrupt-minded people do. That's why George Washington told you that above all of man's habits, religion and morality are the indispensable supports if you want happiness in your life, in your country. And he said, and in vain would the man who claimed to be a patriot, he could not claim that if he labors to subvert morality and religious principles. Do you understand? And so that's what these people have been doing. It's just like they try to say Christianity is the religion of the United States. The United States don't have no religion. The Constitution tells you that. The Constitution says Congress shall make no laws respecting the establishment of religion, nor prohibiting the free exercise thereof. So they get out there and they claim America is a Christian country, which is nothing but a bold-faced lie. Do you understand? You see, if they tried that, they know that their country would not have lasted no 200 years. Because what would happen when the true religion, when the Lord himself show up, he ain't gonna be no Christian. And when you attack him, you're through. I'll tell you what, how many of y'all that's done attack me, how'd you do after that? Come on in and tell us how well you lived and how well you did when you decided that. I had people when I first moved here to Mississippi, white people. I go to the parts house. I used to work on my own car. I go to the parts house to get something. And there's a white man standing up behind it. I think his name was Dave. And he said, saved any souls lately? They all know me. They know what I was out here teaching. And my uncle told me that they was wondering when white folks was going to come get me and take me out in the woods and kill me. And, but anyway, I told Dave, I say, somebody got to speak up for my people. And from that point on, he never said nothing else to me, because he never should have said that to me. But Allah, what they didn't count on is that Allah was with me. You think I've been out here all this time by myself, going up against a man who killed Emmett Till for just rolling his eyes, or what they say, whistling at a white woman or whatever, killed black and white people for riding the bus together and all that kind of thing. You think I could have lasted here if God wasn't with me? I tell you what, you who say Allah is not with me, what you waiting on to come get me? As I told my followers, if somebody killed me, ain't no sense in you shedding no tears. Ain't no sense in you getting out there acting a fool. Why? Because if I really was the Son of Man, they couldn't have killed me. So I got what I deserved for standing up here pretending to be something I wasn't. Do you understand? So, these, you hear Donald Trump and them standing up out there talking about if he get charged, if I get charged, it's going to be terrible. It's going to be terrible. That's his way of telling you he ain't nobody but a liar. That's why he wants you to go out there and act a fool for him. Farrakhan said the same thing, basically. I look like telling my followers that I'm the Lord, but yet if something happened to me, y'all go out there and tear up the country. If you the Lord, ain't nothing supposed to happen to you. I didn't hear you. No. Something happened to people who want something to happen to me. When enough people died around here, they left me alone. I didn't have to do nothing to them. Allah did it. So I'm, as the young man said, they want to make the government look like it's unproductive, ain't doing nothing, so that you will tear up your own house. Look, there's an old saying, a fool and his valuables will soon part company. If your government is no good, if your government is not functional, have you thought about whose fault that is? You should never make a serious decision that is going to affect your present and future. You should never base that on emotional decisions. You should sit down and you should ask yourself, what do I expect of those who I elect to represent me? Now, if you're emotional, then they will come and appeal to your emotions, and generally that's to your hatred, to your bigotry, to all of the things in your character that make you less than human. Where does the word humane come from? Let's look it up. I want to talk to you. I want you to listen. Humane. Let's see here. means merciful, kind, tender, compassionate. Characterized by kindness, mercy, or compassion. Does that fit you? Be honest with yourself. Are you merciful? Are you kind? Are you compassionate? And if you cannot say yes to that, you are not humane. And the root word of humane is human. Now let's look up human. Just take the E off of humane and you got human. Pertaining to or having the nature of people. What is the nature of people? The nature of people is the same nature that the earth has. It has a light side and a dark side all the time. When you look at it, it is a light side and a dark side. No matter where you look at the earth from, out in space, it's always dark on one side and light on the other side. Do you understand? Okay. It's the garden. You know, a garden is a small place. What is the earth compared to the solar system? It's a little small place. It's a garden of eternal day and eternal night. Eden. Okay. Now, let's see here. A member of the primate genus, Homo, especially a member of the species Homo sapiens, distinguished from the apes by a large brain and the capacity for speech. So, now remember now, we ran you, white people, out from among us when you first came back among us and started making trouble. We ran you out from among us and you wind up in the caves and hillsides of Europe, and there you went savage. You lost the characteristics that set you apart from the apes. And so the Holy Quran said, these are they whom we made as apes and swine. Do you understand? So once we reduced you, then we sent Musa in there to raise you up again. You see, Moses. Now that's the Moses that brought the Torah. You see, not the Moses that you read about in the book there, leading somebody out of Egypt. There ain't no white folks been in no slavery nowhere on this planet. That's a prophecy, you see. And your Moses is standing there talking to you. So now, this is something that the truth has come now, you see. Remember, the Lord said to me the same thing that he said to Moses. He said, see, I've made you a God to Pharaoh. To the white man, I'm God. Now, ain't no sense you sitting up out there with wind in your jaws. I am God to you. Who else got a heaven and a hell to put you in? You see it right there in the book. I have the keys of hell. If I got the keys of it, I can lock you up in it or I can let you out. Now, one of you got something to say to that? Anybody got their hand up?
No one has their hand raised.
Okay? We ain't got to tiptoe around nothing now. We through tiptoeing around you. I'm not that baby that I was back in 1975. I'm a grown man now. And you will respect me as such. Or if you know what's good for you, you stay out of my face. Now, so human and humane, they are the same. In order to be humane, you got to be of people, human, and you got to listen and walk in the light. We made the darkness for rest, for sleep, for rest. The night cometh wherein no humane person can work. Who is that with their phone off mute? Beg your pardon? Just a moment. You got an apology you want to make to me? If you didn't come in here to apologize, just mute your phone back. So I'm not letting you out of hell until you apologize.
Okay, I'm sorry. Now can we speak?
No, that's not no sorry. That you didn't mean that. I can tell from your tone you didn't mean that. Now when you can apologize to me, when you can apologize to me in a way that I feel that you are sincere, then I will talk to you again. But until then, no. Now mute him back. And don't unmute your phone no more. You show me that you're sorry by following my instructions. Now, like I told you, I'm not a person that you can run over. Now, I'll talk to you when I'm ready to talk to you, not when you're ready to talk to me. If I don't want to talk to you right now, I won't. Because I gave you every opportunity to show me respect, and you refused. So don't be coming in here like you making some demand on me talking to you. I don't have to talk to none of y'all. Allah told me to warn you, whether you hear me or whether you forbear.
Why you don't want to talk to me? Because
you know why I don't want to talk to you. Just what you just said there. Now put him out.
Everything.
Like I said. See, that's the way you do people like that. You see, he lied to my he's sorry. If he was sorry, he wouldn't have did it again. Do you understand? You know, people think they can just say anything to you, just tell you what they think you want to hear, and then it's all right. Do you understand? Lock him out. That's where you do that.
The conference has been locked.
No. Put him at the Wailing Wall. So anyway, I want all of you to know that, like I told you, I'm not hard to get along with. I just will no longer accept disrespect after all that I have shared with you in the way of understanding of the Holy Scriptures, which you never understood. I made known to you the Father. I showed you, I revealed to you that God means grantor of dominion. I revealed to you what the Scripture meant when it said devil, devisers of illusion. I taught you these things. Nobody else taught you this. Then come in and show respect. Because if I had not opened the understanding of the book to you, you would never have understood it. You done had this book for portions of it for 4,000 years and have not understood it yet. No man in heaven, no prophet, no man in the earth, no scholar, no man who lived and died under the earth was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. But Elijah came and loosed the seals on the book. And when he loosed the seals on the book, he loosed Muhammad. And as he showed us, then after he wasn't here no more, a lamb was standing up talking to you now. After the lion loosed the seals on the book, he let me out. He said, I say Allah has loosed us. That's right. I bear witness. Yes. All we have to do is go to work. Now. Yes. So I'm at work now. And I'm working. And who will say they letting me work? You ain't letting me do nothing. When you come in here to listen to me, you are being brought up out of ignorance into enlightenment. And it's not a one of you, I don't care what your station in this world is. When you come into me, you go up. So I'm, I love to talk to the intellectually capable people. Just like when I was talking to Dr. Tyson. I enjoyed listening to him, and he enjoyed listening to me. So I checked him on it. I said, well, maybe I don't mean to talk too much. He said, you ain't talking too much. he corrected that. Because, wisdom is like water. It finds its own level. Yeah. So, anyway, I'm going to, just like you notice, people who have great wisdom, you'd never know it from looking at the surface when they dealing with people of lesser knowledge. It's like a swimming pool. When you look at the water, it all look the same depth till you get in it, and then you discover that portions of it is deeper than others. Is that right? Yeah, that's them public swimming pools. You start off at 2 feet, then you go to 4 feet, 5 feet, and then 10 feet. But on the top, it all look level. Is that right? Well, it's the same. If I'm talking to a child, it's like my second grade teacher, Miss Page. I ain't never forgot Miss Page. And she was so tall and pretty. And she was more like our mother than our teacher. And all of us liked her. And when she was talking to us, she related to us on our level. But as you grow, you realize that Miss Page was way above us. Do you understand? She was way deeper than us. But we couldn't know. We didn't know that. She made us feel comfortable on our level. So, all praise is due to Allah. So it's just like the messengers of God. You know, the messengers of God, they were my tutors. Even though they knew one day I would be their king, but they were my tutors as a child. You understand? Waiting on me to grow up and tell them what all these things meant. And that's what I do now. I show you how to put the parts together to make a whole. You see? And that's what I'm here for. So, you know, I have to tell you who I am because none of you know who I am. No man knows who the Son is but the Father. Neither doth any man know the Father but the Son, and he to whom the Son will reveal him. Even the way that that's written tells you that the Father is the truth. The Scriptures, the Word. And if I don't reveal the understanding of the Word to you, you don't have it. And consequently, you can't become a son. Because the Father has to make you the Son. You understand? And to those that receive me, I give them knowledge, power, to become the sons of God. Do you understand? Yes. You see, but I'm the firstborn. You see? And so you are ordered to submit to me. And so I tell you this in front of the world so that you don't think that it's somebody someplace else on this earth that could argue with me. If it was somebody someplace else on this earth that could argue with me, that internet is worldwide. That's what www means. World Wide Web. You see? So if it's somebody that's listening that think that they have something to argue with me on, you're welcome to do so. You see? But I'm through letting people like that foolish man in New York come in here and waste our time. That ain't gonna happen no more. Mm-mm. Couldn't you tell he didn't mean it when he said he was sorry? Can you? There's all kind of ways you can check people. You know, when somebody truly sorry for something, they don't do it again. When you done told them that's, you know, it's certain things I do that I'm not going to apologize because I don't have to apologize. You know, even for caring about people. I'm not sorry I care about people. I'm sorry they ain't got sense enough to appreciate it. But I ain't sorry that I care about people. I'm glad I'm that way. I literally can feel other people's pain. You know, I go around somebody that's sick or whatnot, I can feel it. You know, that, you know, sometimes it's just like yesterday. I was depressed and didn't know why. You know, and I heard about the death of Queen Elizabeth, and I knew why I was depressed, because all them people feeling depressed. You know, you cannot claim to be a human being and not feel for your fellow human beings. I'm the head of all human beings. What part of your body does your head feel no pain when that member's in pain? That comes with being who I am. Do you understand? The scripture says it is not your heavenly Father's will that anyone should perish, but that all should come to repentance. You don't rejoice over people being lost, especially someone as beloved as she was. Do you understand? And I didn't never meet her personally, but I did see her from a distance. And she was a kind lady. She was a caring person. There's certain things you can't fake. So yes, we will I lowered them flags when I heard about it. That's what we should do. President Biden lowered the flags in America. You know, I think I want to talk a little bit about her. Things that I noticed about her years ago that I admired. And I remember when President Obama was standing up at the table making a toast to her. And they started playing God Save the King. Well, in her case, God Save the Queen. And, you know, when I listen to the melody, in this country, that same melody is My Country, Tears of Thee. You know, my country, tears of thee, sweet land of liberty, of thee I sing. And it made me realize how intertwined England and America are. The UK and the United States, they have a unique relationship that goes way back to the very inception of. No wonder they call America Baby London, Babylon in the book, because this is a baby London. They had their parliament, and they started off with a parliament and changed it to what they got now. But you know, it's much history with these two nations. But anyway, when President Obama kept making his toast, and some of the news people that hated President Obama tried to make fun. The Queen didn't change her expression when she was standing up there. I know they would have liked to saw her roll her eyes or something like that, but she was too dignified to help them mock the first black president of the United States. Do you understand? And she did something else that when her and the First Lady, Michelle Obama, let's see.
We were a normal family.
That's not the one. I want to go to this other one here. Give me a minute. It says CNN's American Morning spoke with Charles Mosley, the author of Blood Royal, about the significance of First Lady Michelle Obama putting her arm around Queen Elizabeth II.
What is astounding is the picture of the Queen with her arm around Michelle Obama, and Michelle Obama's hand around the Queen too, but the Queen made the first move. This is the most astounding thing, because the Queen is not known for being touchy-feely. Indeed, her son, Prince Charles, complained on one occasion that he wasn't given enough affection when he was a child. The big deal is that the Queen is an almost sacred person in monarchy.
The Queen was aware of how much disrespect President Obama and his wife was being shown in America by you, white people. And that was her, just that one little gesture there of approval and respect and love. It all showed right there, you know. And people knew that she didn't do that. That was not normal for her. Do you understand? But you know, she offered words of encouragement to them in private. So
there's a sacredness that surrounds the sovereign, which is perhaps not known in republics, at least not all the time, in the way that it is in a monarchy. And she's been on the throne for a very, very long time. She is herself a very dignified person, all the more so because of her relatively short stature. One of the things I saw yesterday was the way Obama and Michelle towered over the Queen, and indeed Prince Philip. He is 6'1", she's 5'4". There's an awful lot of difference in inches there. Yes, it's a very significant gesture. She's not known for this kind of thing. When Paul Keating, the Australian politician, put his hand in the small of her back, let us put it no lower than that, some years ago, all hell broke loose. Now she's doing the same thing to the First Lady, and for all I know, this is a breach of White House protocol.
So, you know, she won a place in my heart right there, you know. And with President Obama, the way she treated them. I think I will let you see something else here. Michelle, the First Lady, she, just a moment. Just a moment. Let me see if I can find it here.
We were a normal family, a young couple who had dreams of trying to impact the world, and my husband just happened to be elected president, and we had to kind of adjust. Had a deal. When we came into the White House, we were living on the south side of Chicago in our house with our neighbors, and the whole thing just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're just trying to live your life through all this weirdness that is your husband's rise. But we were always ourselves. That's one of the things I said during the course of the last campaign as a hopeful reminder to our voters in the U.S. that the presidency doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are. You know, it is, we were standing in line and she had on a beautiful, I'm sure it was covered in diamonds and a crown, and you know, you sort of look and go, all of that is real, you know? You go, that's nice, but it's all real. And in the gloriousness of that outfit that she had on, she put on the little bitty pin we gave her. And I did the same thing. I was like, oh, you wore the pin? And she just said, yes. That was my experience. That has been my experience, that kind of warmth and graciousness and intelligence and wit. I like her. You know, this trepidation, the anxiety, I mean, it's everywhere. It's all over the world, for sure. We're seeing it. We're seeing it played out in our country and all over the place. But here's the thing I was thinking on the drive here from the hotel to the arena. And I was looking out over the city, on the beautiful city, and the thing I love about it is that it is truly representative of true international diversity in ways that you don't see in cities, most cities particularly, even in the United States. And that's a gift.
Yeah, she was talking about visiting over there with Queen Elizabeth, and when they took their trip over there. I found it kind of fascinating. I remember the messenger said, it's just like some people, emotionalism is a terrible thing when it governs your deeds and your actions, and it takes control of you. Emotions are good, but they are good only when you are in control of them. It's just like a breeze. The wind is good until it becomes a tornado. Then you have to take shelter from it. Well, we seek shelter in Allah, in the truth that, when I say in Allah, I mean in the truth that that the truth has guided us to, so that the breeze does never turn into a tornado. Do you understand? We can control ourselves. As long as we can control ourselves, we can control what we come in contact with, or what comes in contact with us. Lose control of yourself, and you have lost control of everything. Do you understand? So the one thing that the scripture teaches us that is the basis of self-control. It says, the tongue is an unruly member. What a great matter a little fire kindleth. I'm just paraphrasing here. It said, he that can control the tongue, if you can bridle the tongue, you can bring the whole body into subjection. Do you understand? Many people say everything that they think. That's one of the first things that Donald Trump gave license to those who used to try to control what they say and how they conducted themselves. They didn't really want to. That's where the Word of God comes in at. If we remember that our duty as human beings, our first duty and last duty is to fear God and keep His commandments. Do you understand? It's just like the first and last duty of your car is to start up when you get ready to go someplace and take you where you want to go and bring you back home. That's the first and last duty of your car every time you get in it. Do you understand? When it fails to do that, the junkyard is waiting. Do you understand? And when you fail to keep your duty to Allah, hell is waiting. So, as we know that our duty to Allah is to obey Him. His command was, as you would that men do to you, do that to them. You want people to speak to you in civil tones and in a civilized manner? Then speak to people in a civilized manner, regardless to how they speaking to you. Do you understand? Control yourself even when others lose control. Let me show you here. I told you, all of the messengers of God, all of the men, as it's written, I am the offspring of man. I am the son of man. those whom we have given the book recognize him as they recognize their sons. Now, Rudyard Kipling, he wrote to me too. He said, if you can keep your head when all of those around you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. You know, nobody likes to be blamed for what's not their fault. Is that right? But instead of going off when they do it, just calmly correct them. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. You know how people always love to blame everything that's happened to them on somebody else. Do you understand? You know, so-and-so made me do so-and-so. Did he make you do it, huh? He made you go out there and act a fool on the street. I didn't see him. I just saw you. Huh? No, your own lack of self-control made you do that. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. Why you think I leave them people who the phone lines open to people who have disagreements with me? You know how people used to come in here and tell me, you ain't no son of man. I listen to them. Because if you don't give me something in God's word that proves to me that I'm not the son of man, I ain't going to doubt myself just because you doubt me. Huh? I know what you don't know. I understand what you don't understand. So one of my fathers said, if you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, wait on what? Move not your tongue to make haste with it. And wait on Allah to reveal it to me. So, you know, I can wait. You seek Allah's assistance through prayer and what? Patiently wait. Huh? That's all. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, and don't deal in lies yourselves. You notice, ain't nobody ever collected no $50,000 from me because I lied on somebody. Huh? People lied on me, but I'm not dealing in lies. No. He says, or being hated and don't give way to hating. You seen that. That's why the Caucasian called me up and apologized to me. He knew I wasn't full of the hatred that he was full of for me. You see, carrying hatred around in yourself for people simply for flesh, when flesh don't do nothing but what it's told, and you look at some flesh and all of a sudden you just hate that flesh. Well, that's like walking around with a pocket full of boo-boo. And the more boo-boo you got in your pocket, the more you stink. Do you understand? And so your attitude begins to stink because you look at a person and judge them by their color, and the skin ain't got nothing to do with the evil that people do. The evil that people do has to do with the mind that's in their brain. And you can't see that. It's colorless. So anyway, it says, or being hated and don't give way to hating, and yet don't look too good, nor talk too wise. And you know, I always tell people, I talk to you down to earth. I ain't using no $500 words when a $3 word would work just as well. I didn't hear you. Most people who use those those long words, those big words, that generally, the longer the word, the narrower the meaning of it. Do you understand? And so I know that people use that type of talk when they are trying to impress people who are of lesser stature or lesser learning than them, have not learned that language, and it intimidates people. That's what it's designed for, to intimidate and make you get away from them. Do you understand? You know, so I'm not that kind of person. I like to talk to people, you know, and I like to talk to people in a real conversation, not just to try to show off. So it says, if you can dream and not make dreams your master. That's just another way of saying it's all right to dream, but stay rooted in reality. Do you understand? If you can think and not make thoughts your aim, that's what people who fall in love with the sound of their own voice and just love to, every time you see them, they talking. Every time you see them, they got some new scheme they got going. But anyway, so if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, triumph is the result of knowing the truth and acting on it. Disaster is just the opposite. It is knowing maybe part of a truth, but not the whole truth. And so when you triumph, or when you have disaster, they are imposters, and it sometimes will make you think more of yourself than you should, because it was not you that actually triumphed. It was the truth that guided you to that success that you should be praising. All praise is due to Allah. Do you understand? And it says, so if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those two impostors just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken twisted by liars to make a trap for fools. Yeah, you notice I've gotten on people a lot of times. The messenger of God said, I'll show you an example. The messenger told us, accept your own, be yourself. He said, unite with your own kind, pool your resources, and do something for self. Okay, that's what the messenger said. Then when you catch one of us out there being selfish, he said, the messenger said self first. The messenger said do for self. Yeah, but that wasn't all he said. But they twist what he said to make it fit what they want to do. Do you understand? Leave some out. Put some in to justify to the ignorant what they doing, and try to say the messenger authored it. But that's a lie. The messenger didn't teach us to be selfish. He taught us that if you have a bowl of soup and your brother don't have none, half of yours belong to him. That's what he said. It says, or he said, if you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves or liars, to make a trap for fools or con men, to make a trap for people who don't believe in the truth, who don't believe in God. That's what a fool is. You understand? Well, God is the truth. You can't be a fool and believe in the truth. You have to disbelieve in the truth for somebody to make a fool out of you. You understand? And actually, you made a fool out of yourself first. And it says, or watch the things you gave your life to, broken, and stoop and build them up with worn out tools. I watched the Nation of Islam, something I had dedicated my life to. I watched them tear it all up. Yet, I didn't get so disheartened that I was ready to just give up. No, I started building it again. But only this time better. Do you understand? And stoop and build them up with worn out tools. It says, if you can, you notice, there was a time when you asked the average one that was following the messenger, who is the original man? He'd snap to. The original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, God of the universe. You ask some of them same people that now, they say, man, I don't believe that stuff no more. A worn out tool now. They wore it out. You understand? They never became that. I became that. I know it's the truth. See, it's just like this uniform I'm wearing. Even when I don't have this uniform on, it's the same as I have it on. Because the uniform is me, and I'm the uniform. Do you understand? You know, it's just like a good example. Marines. When you join the Marine Corps and make it through boot camp, you're a Marine. Even when you're in civilian clothes, you're still a Marine. You understand? You know, I've even found that I can't slouch when I walk. I learned to walk different. I learned everything different until I just became that. Why? I respected it. So I tried to learn how to salute, how to snap a salute up, and keep it straight. Your elbow, this supposed to be level with the deck, and this supposed to be straight, not bent, but straight. You know, they taught us these things, taught us how to walk without bouncing, and that kind of thing. I didn't know, I didn't realize how much I didn't know until I got in there and somebody started teaching me. So, I mean, look, man, you've been under a ruler and didn't learn nothing. That's your fault. Do you understand? Okay. It says, if you can make one heap of all of your winnings and risk it all on one turn of pitch and toss and lose and start again at your beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. You know, they got an old saying, if you can't afford to lose, you can't afford to win. You know, if I didn't learn nothing in this world, it's kind of what Yoda told Luke. You must train, he told Anakin, you must train yourself to lose that or to give up that which you hold dear. You must train yourself to be willing to give it up. You understand? That is true. You know, then it says, if you can force your heart and your nerves and sinew to your muscles to serve your turn long after they are gone, you know, to force yourself, when like that song says, to strive when your arms are too weary. Huh? Make them go some more. Yeah. If you can force your heart and nerves and muscles to serve your turn long after they are gone, and so hold on when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. That's how you find out how to master yourself. You notice runners. I remember the first time I ever got a second wind was when I was in boot camp. That we ran so long until our heartbeat and our breathing got to the point where you just can breathe. The new way of the heartbeating and the breathing changed, and you could just run from that point on until you fall out. Because it's easy to breathe and everything. They call it a second wind. But that is part of mastering the body and its ability. The body will obey whatever the mind convinces it to do. Whatever the will determines, the body obeys. Do you understand? Okay. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, to hold on to your humility, to hold on to your not let the crowd get you all revved up to the point where you lose control of yourself and the crowd actually pumping you up and hyping you up. Do you understand? Oops, just a moment here. Let me put this back before it falls. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch. A part of that is, so you a big shot, or you can go and people of notoriety and whatnot, you used to hobnobbing with them. And if you can do that and not, when you get around everyday people, instead of looking down on them, be able to relate and talk with them just as easily as you talk with the people in the upper echelon, as we call them. If neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you. Why did it say, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you? Because, you can turn a foe into a friend and a friend into a foe by what you do. So the best thing is to follow the first advice. Just treat everybody like you want to be treated. And you don't have to worry about somebody hurting you. You understand? So it says, if all men count with you, but none too much, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, all thy soul, all thy mind, all thy strength, and your neighbor as yourself. Where do you put yourself? You put yourself second to God. Then where should you put everybody else? God don't have no equal. The Word of God settles all arguments. The Word of God is what we should obey first and last. Do you understand? It says, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son. You see? So, all of them, they left wisdom that guides me. You see? So I have to honor them all, because I'm the son of them all. the light that I give is both natural and spiritual. Do you understand? Yes. So I want to let you see some more footage of Queen Elizabeth. They were talking about her.
To the stunned heart of London and to the whole Commonwealth came the tragic news from Sandringham of the passing of a beloved sovereign, King George VI.
In a remote lodge in Kenya, Prince Philip told her the news. She was now queen. The following year came her coronation. Years later, she described how it felt.
In a way, I didn't have an apprenticeship.
I want to say that that's what we had. We had kings. We had rulers among us. Gods. God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Huh? Okay, so as if they was to rule as gods or as kings and queens, we had to stop. King Tut, King, I think they said Tutankhamun, Imhotep. We had kings. They took after us. Do you understand? And it's something that I heard her. The oath that she took, recognizing that, when it comes up, I'll say something.
Father died much too young. It was all a very sudden kind of taking on and making the best job you can.
From the very start, she felt she had to get out and connect with the public.
The Queen and Duke now took their places.
Through thousands of engagements and inventing the walkabout.
Whether you were the lollipop lady or you were a president or a prime minister of a nation, people become nervous. And it was wonderful to see how Her Majesty would put them at ease.
With constitutional responsibilities and weekly audiences with her prime ministers.
Virtually alone.
Like what he said there about didn't make no difference who you was. I mean, you was in the presence of a queen that was celebrated and whatnot. It made you nervous. Well, the one thing that helped her to put people at ease when they came around her was because she felt nervous as long as they felt nervous. And so by putting them at ease, it let her be at ease. Do you understand? Because she had empathy. She was gifted with empathy. Everyone does not have the ability to feel for other people. But in order to messengers of God were empathetic. They were empaths. They could feel for people. And so likewise, Allah could not, they could not be have dominion if, remember now, he said that surely you are of the respited ones. They didn't know how he respited them. But with people like Queen Elizabeth, the Muslims in their midst, the ones who feared God, the ones who felt for people, made the wickedness that many of the others practiced palpable. It made it made up for some of it and allowed them to be spared. Do you understand? So, but yes, don't know leader or ruler who is fit for rulership lack empathy, because empathy is what you need in order to treat people with the respect and the necessary dignity that they deserve. When you recognize that the only difference in you and them is your station, your duty. But if you cut the hand and cut the foot, both of them feel it, and the head feels for all of them. Do you understand? The head, by necessity, must be empathetic. It must feel for the body, since it's the ruler. Then the head should feel. Whatever is bothering the body should bother the head. So in order to stay at peace, the head must look out for the body. Do you understand? So she was always, according to what they was saying about her, she was always traveling. She's always serving her people, doing counsel. They had a red box that they would give her, and so figurehead meant more than a lot of people think. Figurehead also, you used the term, have you ever tried to figure that out? Did you figure out yet what you was going to do or what not? Well, that's just another way of counsel. She was also a counselor to the heads of state in England, and they used her. They got her opinion on things. Everyone that I heard speak about her, that was head of state or something, they said how she could talk to them. They could talk to her and tell her anything, and it would not leave that room. You understand? And so they leaned upon her wisdom of having been around when Churchill was there. She could tell them, well, when Churchill was here, he would have done this or he would have done that. This is how he handled this situation that was similar to this that you're on. That's wisdom that she had from her long life, her longevity. And so much so, they passed a note when she passed and said that London Bridge is falling. You see. And when I was a little boy, we used to sing, London Bridge is falling down, falling down, falling down. London Bridge is falling down, my fair lady. Do you understand? So she left keys. The key to a map is the understanding of what's on it. So key means understanding. Take the keys and lock them up in your heart. Take the keys and lock her up. Lock her up in your heart, and you can carry on. You will know that everything that she shared with you, you will see its value now that she's not here. You'll even see its value even more. Just like I see the value of what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching much better now than I did while he was here. Do you understand? Because now I have to seek it out. I have to search it out. I have to go back, since I know that he was God's gift to me. Jesus was God's gift to me. Then it's time to open up them gifts and see what's really in them. That's what that, you know, in Christmas time, it's all different color wrappings on them things that you get. But you can't open them until it's Christmas time, till it's Christmas Day. See, well, you're in the day of the Christ Mass. And so now it's got time to open up these books and see what was in them. Do you understand? So Allah gave them to me, and I'm opening them and sharing my gifts with you. Do you understand? For he gave them to me to share with you. So,
all the people that you knew anything that you said to us stayed within the room.
Do we think that this is about and we don't know what it's about?
She was
Institutional responsibilities and weekly audiences with her prime ministers.
virtually alone of all the people that you knew anything that you said to us stayed within the room.
Do we think that this is about and we don't know what it's about?
She was a wonderful boss. We used to put up a red box every evening, and we knew that she would have been through them and it would be back on our desk the next morning at 8 o'clock.
The principle of listening to what she thought Churchill might have done in similar conditions or circumstances to what I found myself in. It was those sort of conversations that I learned a huge amount from and will treasure forever.
As head of the Commonwealth and Queen of other realms, she travelled more than any other head of state, always conducting her own powerful form of soft diplomacy.
She can have a personal conversation, which...
Now, that right there.
Always conducting her own powerful form of soft diplomacy.
That image right there is a sign of the time. The end of a civilization. A man who had no business being president, walking next to a monarch that was everything that he wasn't. Do you understand? Grace, dignity, empathy, walking right next to a devil. Do you understand? And she did that with grace. Well, to him it was just a photo op. No dignity at all. So it's just like that when we look out at them two stars out there, a blue one beside a red one. You know that she happened to have on blue. Walking next to a redneck. Ain't that something? a man who invited people, a man who had been President of the United States, invited people to come to Washington to overthrow the government that he was at one time the head of state of. He left the Union in a shambles. And then you just happen to have a president now who came into office and ran for office on a platform that he wanted to restore the soul of the United States. Ain't that something?
She can have a personal conversation which, helps to move on some really quite difficult and tricky political moments.
Uachtaráin agus a coide.
The first British monarch to visit the Republic of Ireland in 100 years. She was a figurehead of unity and stability.
She never wavered from duty or service. And in uncertain times, people need anchors. We've lost one of our most important anchors.
I'm very glad to be able to join you today.
Often she adapted the way that she worked, such as during the coronavirus pandemic, to reach out, set an example, and rally the nation with messages of resilience.
We will be with our friends again. We will be with our family.
You saw her standing there with a mask on? Just the opposite of what Donald Trump did. Do you understand? He didn't care about the people who cared so much about him. And they didn't have sense enough to know it.
Families again. We will meet again.
Her Majesty is the warrior queen. She's done it. She's been there. And Her Majesty dressed the nation. It's the empathy. We're all in this together, but it's going to be okay.
Behind the formality was an utterly devoted wife and mother.
The family is very close together, and we do enjoy spending time. And she's always made time all the way through her life. And yes, there have been those particular moments of the year when that very much comes first.
Whenever we had the family moments and we met up, she'd be very keen on watching what the children were up to, and I think there were moments when she loved the noise and running around the house. It kind of brought the house to life, and it kind of made the real family atmosphere.
See if this is strong enough to...
While she was head of state, Philip was head of the family and a huge support.
They were a couple with a different relationship than many people have. But he learned to live with that. It's difficult to be a monarch with the degree of responsibility you have without a very good partnership to back you up.
In 2021, she said goodbye to her beloved husband and dedicated consort.
What you see is courage, but also a complete lack of self-pity. She feels grief, but as she said on one occasion, it's not about me.
In a less deferential world, they did weather more difficult times, especially in the 1990s, as her children got divorced and a fire wrecked Windsor Castle.
It has turned out to be an annus horribilis.
In 1997, Princess Diana died in a car crash. It was a low point for the royal family, as the crowds criticised them for staying in Scotland.
The Queen's life has been a continual process of shaping how you keep an in touch with a world that's changing very fast, and she was always doing that.
In recent years, the Queen led the monarchy through more turmoil. She rarely showed emotion in public. Privately, she was known for her genuine warmth and kindness.
We were up shooting one day up in Balmoral, and the weather changed in the afternoon, so I took my raincoat, wrapped it round, I gave him my...
In a world that always looks for fault, she chose to show as little fault as she could, always thinking about her nation and about the dignity of the office that she held. And, you know, that has its place in this world, because people love to tear down what they can't live up to. Do you understand? And that's the kind of world that we have witnessed happen. They got a saying that nothing do people love more than seeing a star rise than watching it fall.
Off my gloves, and as I walked away, I was in that.
In recent years, the Queen led the monarchy through more turmoil. She rarely showed emotion in public. Privately, she was known for her genuine warmth and kindness.
We were up shooting one day up in Balmoral, and the weather changed in the afternoon, so I took my raincoat, wrapped it round, I gave him my scarf and my gloves, and as I walked away, I cheekily took my flat shooting hat off and put it on top of her headscarf. 3 weeks later, she called me into her office, and she'd had this photograph developed and put in a beautiful frame for me, and she said, "I thought you'd like to keep this as a souvenir."
That's it. She was never happier than when she was with her dogs and watching her horses. And just sometimes we'd see a glimpse of her sense of humour.
I always keep one for emergencies. So do I. I keep mine in here. For later.
As the Queen grew older, the whole country would come together to celebrate her milestone moments. She would go on to become Britain's longest reigning monarch.
Inevitably, a long life can pass by many milestones. My own is no exception.
And the first to mark a platinum jubilee. Her family increasingly expected to step in to support her. The Queen's remarkable reign and the stability it brought helping to secure the future of the monarchy as her family continued to grow. Throughout her life, honouring to the end the pledge she made at just 21.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
Most people, they heard and didn't hear that. You remember I told you that if one of us is divine, all of us are? Because God made all nations of men from one blood. Then the whole family is the imperial family. And that's what she just said. back in when she was first crowned, dedicated her life to the service of her country and the imperial family of which we are all a part of. Huh? Yes.
Life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
I mean, you could take that to mean anything, but that's the wonderful thing about wisdom. Wisdom is like gold. Everybody don't recognize it in its raw state. Huh? You know, you got some people who mistake pyrite for gold. Think that's the name of it, pyrite, and it's called fool's gold. You see, everything other than wisdom, everything other than truth that this world offers is fool's gold. It's like the decoration on a tree that they cut down and stand up and put it in a place and put all them decorations on there and call it a Christmas tree. It's decorated with all types of things, but it has no roots to it anymore. It has nothing. It's just decorated. That's what a civilization is that does not have the wisdom of God, the root of life. Remember, Jesus said, the words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life. Yeah. Well, what is a country where people ignore the word of God? They have a tree without roots. They may decorate it real pretty, but it will soon manifest that it cannot stand forever. It's got to go. So.
Speech she made in South Africa. Well, joining me now to reflect on the Queen's 7 decades of service is the historian and author Anne Seba. And a very good morning to you on what will be a very sad day as this news filters through to people, the shock news really. But let's look back at the Queen's long reign, if you like, because of course she was never expected to be on the throne, was she? And it was at the age of 10 that she found out.
Well, of course, the abdication was what set her course in life. She might have eventually become monarch if her uncle had reigned and not had children, but she wouldn't have had such a long reign. And I think the reason that those events of 1936 are important, when she saw her uncle give up the throne for the woman I love, is the effect that it had on her parents, Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, and King George VI, because as far as Queen Elizabeth was concerned and her grandmother, Queen Mary, this was such a shocking thing to do, to abdicate, to give up what had been entrusted in you for so long, so much privilege, and not to be able to see your way to rule. So she was never going to abdicate, and I think that's one of the most important things, this life of duty and service, as we've heard so many people say. But I think she set herself the task in 1952 of being a monarch in opposition to everything that her uncle stood for, if you like, individual fulfillment and personal happiness. That was not something that she was going to allow herself to crave, because her family believed that what he did was so wrong. So, you know, you see that right until the day she died. She was never going to abdicate, to give up
hard work and this work ethic that we've heard so many people talk about as they saw it. And I think that really is what for me and for so many other people marks her reign, this sense of duty, but also, discretion, diplomacy, decency, dignity, all these words that have a sort of old-fashioned ring to them. It's really a watershed moment, isn't it?
Well, she was obviously a teenager, wasn't she, during the Blitz, finally working as well towards the war effort. How much would that have also shaped the way she looked at, international relations, if you like, conciliation? Prince Philip had these German relations, didn't he?
Absolutely, the war marked very much what she believed in. It's a question of service. She was 21 when she joined up, and this wonderful picture of her in the ATS. But she had this very close relationship with veterans, and her first prime minister, of course, was Churchill. And when she came to the throne, this was a country rebuilding itself. So yes, diplomacy was important, building the Commonwealth, and working to create friends among this global community. So although we feel this terrible loss personally, she was the nation's grandmother. She's a much bigger picture than that on the world stage, and she certainly worked towards building relationships. You've heard President Macron and his articulate tribute to her. She was the best traveled monarch, not only the longest living, but she went out of her way to make friends in many, many places.
And then, of course, she was abroad when her beloved father died. She was so close to him, wasn't she? They were such a close family unit, in fact, brought back from East Africa to pay tribute to him, and still such a young woman. Was she ready for the role, do you think? Do you think she'd been trained into that role already by then?
Of course she hadn't been trained into it. She was very funny talking about it, saying that she had no preparation at all. It wasn't that her mother didn't believe that she should have formal education. She learned on the job. She had something instinctive. Of course, she'd been brought up to expect that this would.
That's the one thing that you must have. Is empathy. When you have empathy, then that's basically, it's like a parent. You notice mothers, they know what their baby needs. They just instinctively know. And some fathers, but mothers especially. Likewise, a ruler, he knows what his people need. You don't have to be trained. They need what you need. So give it to them. That's why the best form of government is the benevolent dictatorship. Because where you have people in government, most governments, you don't have empathetic people in the government. So when they say, I done gave them this, what do they want? You don't know what they want, you ain't got no business up there. You don't know what they need. You give people what they need, and then you'll discover that most of what they want, they're willing to put aside as long as they got what they need. Do you understand? But most people, they don't, they don't know what leadership is. In order to really wisely choose leaders, you need to have your wisest people teaching schools. You need to wise up your nation. Not just have some wise people and majority ignorant. If everybody that votes should have an enlightened mind. That means enlighten all of your people. George Washington told you that. When you have people with enlightened minds, then you will have the best government that exists among them, because they will have sense enough to choose the best people. But anyway, as I was looking at some of the history that they was citing of Queen Elizabeth, you know her name, Elizabeth? It means God is my oath. You know, that is, you know, what is that? That's just another way of saying my word is my bond. My word governs me. A Muslim's word is bond. Bond is life. And before my word shall fail, I will give my life. You know, you know, in one place it says the oath of God, but it's still the same thing, the word of God. Do you understand? John's mother was named Elizabeth. You see? And God gave an oath to Zacharias that even though Elizabeth was old, they was going to have a child. And they did. His name was John. He said, and you shall call his name John. So they named her father, or her parents named her after out of biblical names, you know, and that is a good name, and she lived up to it. You know, duty from the time she accepted that to the time she passed away, she kept her duty. You have to respect that when people give that kind of report about a person. And from what I saw of her, the reports were not exaggerated, because we got a chance to see her, at least those of us who kept up with the Obama presidency. I was very pleased the way she treated Michelle Obama and President Obama. And so I too offer my condolences and prayers for the people of the UK and all of those regions that she was the monarch of. You know, when I listened into them saying how they brought her a red box every day, I realized that figurehead don't mean what people think it means, you know. And you know, they valued her counsel, you see. And it's a wonderful thing. I remember when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed away, you know, I felt like I had been left. I went and caught a I don't know if it was a plane or a bus to Chicago before they even told us he had passed, but I knew I had to get to Chicago, so I went. Didn't even know why. I just knew I needed to get there, and I went there, and it was in the wintertime, right before Savior's Day, I think, sometime in February. But anyway, I went there and stood out in front of his house. I didn't even know what I was, you know, I don't know what I was expecting. But got there. Then I just caught the next thing back home. And, you know, I was doing a lot of things I didn't know why I was doing, you know, but it really left me numb to hear that he was gone. And you know, because he was everything to me. And a lot more of those who, so I know that the people who had more personal relations with Queen Elizabeth, I know how that feels, to lose someone who was such a pillar in your life. And you should understand this, as the messenger taught us, that no soul dies without Allah's permission, without the permission of God. And He does not allow anything to come upon us that is more than we can bear. A person, you don't find out how valuable parents and people who who had charge over you. You really find out their true value when they are no longer there. And you start realizing how much they prepared you to go for yourself, just as they had to go for themselves. And so, remember, the messenger said, in the absence of the teacher or the trainer, the training takes over. And that is the truth. So if you paid attention, and now you realize what's meant when people say, you will always be in my heart. Because that's the heart right there. The real heart is your brain, your mind. And when you remember what you were taught by those wise people, you discover that they actually just passed from that vessel to this one. Do you understand? Well, that's what passes on. The vessel goes back to where it came from. And the knowledge takes up residence to whoever was wise enough to hear the knock and open up the door. You see, so all praise is due to Allah. So we're going to keep our flags at half-mast for a week, till this time next week. And in honor of her, and out of respect for the people of the UK. Did anyone have something that they wanted to ask me or whatever? You may feel free to do so. I was thinking about the state of the United States. A man that ran for office on what did he say when he first ran? Make America great again. But there was another, what was that on his red cap? His first one. Huh? I didn't hear you. Well, he acknowledged that America ain't great again. After 4 years, he left America in a hell of a fix. President Biden inherited something worse than what President Obama had inherited. He inherited a country that was in the middle of a pandemic that should not have been, but was actually made worse by a president who refused to let the CDC do their job. Do you understand? You remember when they was telling everybody to, they among themselves, let them get infected. We want them infected. Remember that? People dying, and he talking about he wanted them infected. And he didn't say that publicly. That's what he was saying privately, while publicly he was acting like he was really trying to do something about it. Huh? Lawrence O'Donnell had a good let's see here. Give me a minute here. I want to put this back up here.
Donald J. Trump versus United States of America. And that really is what this is.
Think about that. A former president of the United States is now on the opposite side of the United States. Think about that. The president of the United States supposed to be the epitome of the United States. He's supposed to be the standard bearer of the United States. Not a defendant. Even got his people, they out there talking about defunding the Justice Department. Would you have ever believed something like this if somebody had wrote it in a book or made a movie about something like this?
But in that case today, the United States of America turned the tables by filing a motion asking, but really demanding, that the judge in the case reverse her recent ruling. And so for at least the next week or so or more, this case has become the United States of America versus Judge Aileen Mercedes Cannon, who stands accused, in effect, in the Justice Department filing today of committing judicial malpractice in her last ruling in the case, in which she issued an order requiring a so-called special master, to be named later, to review all of the evidence in the case, including classified documents, to decide which of those documents should just be returned to Donald Trump. The documents were all seized by the FBI executing a search warrant at Donald Trump's Florida club, which he has abandoned for the summer season. But before leaving there, he left 100 classified documents there while he was gone, along with 11,000 pages of government documents that belong to the United States of America, not Donald Trump. In court proceedings, it is common for all deadlines to be imposed on the lawyers by the judge in the case. But today, Justice Department lawyers imposed a deadline on the judge in this case. Now, you can watch courtroom proceedings for a very long time and not see lawyers tell a judge, if you don't do what we are telling you to do, within a week, we are going over your head. And that's exactly what the Justice Department did today in this extraordinarily powerful filing in federal court in Florida. After first filing a one-sentence statement saying the Justice Department will appeal the judge's order of a special master in the case, the Justice Department immediately followed that up with a demand that Judge Cannon stop her own order right now. The Justice Department...
They given her a chance to save face. Because that judge does not have standing to declare classified material be given to anybody. That's out of her jurisdiction. The intelligence community is the ones that determines what classified materials, what happens to it.
Asked for a partial stay of the judge's order pending the appeal. A stay simply means a pause until the appeal is complete. The Justice Department's motion says the government seeks a stay to the extent the order, one, enjoins the further review and use for criminal investigative purposes of records bearing classification markings that were recovered pursuant to a court-authorized search warrant, and two, requires the government to disclose those classified records to a special master for review. If the court does not grant a stay by Thursday, September 15th, the government intends to seek relief from the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. So the Justice Department is saying that they have no problem with the part of the judge's order that requires a special master to examine documents possibly privileged by the attorney-client privilege. But the Justice Department is saying there is absolutely no reason for a special master to ever look at any of the classified records that were seized by that search warrant. The Justice Department is also saying that the judge's order to the FBI to stop its criminal investigation concerning those records is improper and a danger to the United States of America. The judge's order allowed what she called the intelligence community, without quite knowing what the intelligence community is, to conduct its own review of the documents, but at the same time, the judge ordered the FBI to stop any of their investigation involving the documents seized by the search warrant. The Justice Department conducted a kindergarten class on national security in its motions today for the judge, explaining to the judge, quote, the intelligence community's classification review and national security risk assessment are inextricably linked with the criminal investigation. The filing points out that the FBI is part of the intelligence community, which is clearly something that Judge Cannon did not know until today. The Justice Department taught the judge, quote, the connection between the national security and criminal investigative aspects of this matter are grounded in the dual mission of the FBI. That is, the FBI itself is part of the United States intelligence community And since the 9/11 attacks, the FBI has integrated its intelligence and law enforcement functions when it exercises its national security mission. That elementary education on the FBI's role in national security was explained to the judge in a statement by Alan Kohler Jr., who is the Assistant Director of the Counterintelligence Division of the FBI. Alan Kohler explained to the judge that her order makes it impossible for him to do his job. He said, I am also responsible for the protection of classified national security information and processes within the division, including information in the division possession as a result of investigative efforts. I am responsible for the protection of classified national security and law enforcement sensitive information. The FBI is the only intelligence community element with a full suite of authorities and tools to investigate and recover any improperly retained and stored classified information in the United States. The FBI is critical to the whole of government effort to address any national security risks at issue in this case. The same senior Department of Justice and FBI officials, such as myself, are ultimately responsible for supervising the criminal investigation and for ensuring that the FBI is coordinating appropriately with the rest of the intelligence community on its classification review and assessment. The FBI's Assistant Director of the Counterintelligence Division told the judge irreparable harm to the national security would result from enjoining the further review and use of records bearing classification markings for criminal investigative purposes. There's the FBI's top expert on investigations involving classified material telling the judge that she is right now, tonight, doing irreparable harm to national security because she has already stopped not just the FBI criminal investigation, but she has in effect stopped the intelligence community's review because the intelligence community does not know how to do the review without the FBI, and so they stopped doing the review. The Justice Department's lawyers, in their motion, made an absolutely irrefutable point over and over again. Quote, there is no justification for extending the injunction and special master review to the classified records. The Justice Department's motion made the point again and again that Donald Trump does not own the classified records. The United States government owns those records. The only reason for a special master to examine documents is to consider which documents should simply be handed back to the person who was searched because they don't belong in the investigation. The Justice Department's motion says repeatedly that Donald Trump, quote, has no right to the return of classified records which are not his property. Such records clearly belong in government custody and as a matter of national security must be fully accessible to the executive branch. The Justice Department's motion did not say, hey, we're talking about nuclear secrets here because they can't reveal what they know about the information that was seized from Donald Trump. But the judge in this case knows that the Washington Post has reported this week that at least one of the top secret documents seized by the FBI with their search warrant was about the nuclear capability of another country, another country's nuclear secrets. The judge knows that Donald Trump took that highly classified information home where it was never in anything resembling a secure location and may have been in his desk drawer where the FBI did find classified information. And remember, after taking that information home to his winter home when he left the presidency in 2021, he left that home for the entire spring and summer and went north to a club in New Jersey.
It is very important that you remember that it was explained to the judge in layman's terms, in so many words, that you don't have jurisdiction to do what you're doing. Now remember, no one in this country is above the law. Once it has been made clear to this judge that she's in danger in national security and she proceeds, well, it's time to arrest her too. Do you understand? Unless you think that when you become judge that you are above the law. Well, see, this is what following a man like Donald Trump has did for these people. They think that once they are in positions of authority, that they don't have to obey laws anymore. Do you understand? It's like a congressman sitting up making laws and thinks that he does not have to obey them. Do you understand? Well, that's why you have a Justice Department, to make sure that the laws are enforced. Okay? There you go. So, explain it to her. Then you know she knows, and if she wants to keep on going, arrest her. For purposely, once the intelligence community tells you that you are endangering the United States with what you are doing, you are endangering the security of the United States. What does a patriot do when they are told that? They back off. They stop. But what does a traitor do? I don't care. What you gonna do about it? Huh? Well, there's plenty can be done about it. Them is famous last words. Well, do what you gotta do. Yeah, and then when they do what they gotta do, then you want to scream like Bannon. Ain't he been charged now? Yeah. Get all them crooks. You see? You remember Donald Trump said the American justice system is a joke? Okay. Ain't that something coming from a man who's president of the United States? Called the justice system a joke? Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to stop right there. And I want you to know that we are not living in a bubble and burying our head in the sand. It's, like I said, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad passed, I was devastated, along with many others. So I know the pain that people feel when they lose someone that they love and cherish. And may Allah bless you in your time of bereavement. May He bless us all. So, if there are no questions, then I'm going to let you go. And may Allah grant each of us who hunger and thirst for His mercy and protection and His righteousness, may He grant to us His peace and a peaceful and pleasant night's rest and sleep, a happy, peaceful, and pleasant morning's rise, and a peaceful life.
May Allah's Salam Alaikum.